Greetings and welcome. This is PsychicMediumRoberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. I'm guided by Spirit. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. So, latest news on the New Year's Eve situation, or should we say New Year's Day, with the New Orleans situation as well as Las Vegas. There now turns out there's a link between the two of them. Both individuals have ties or links to Fort Bragg, currently known as Fort Liberty. Then I watched an episode of JLR recently today. Today is January the 3rd. Coupled with this information, that there's a link between the two of them, there was a report later today saying that Fort Bragg is involved in and very connected with CIA and Monarch programming. And I must say, when I did the first episode here, sometime after that, based on the numbers that we looked at, I mentioned Monarch, mentioned military. Of course, I did say there wasn't a link between, but when we have a link like they both went to the same school, as it were, or base camp, we're now getting into the likes of, and let me reintroduce Mr. Frank Olsen, who was, in my opinion, and I've done the show, linked with this one here. I brought this in because there are startling similarities between Frank Olsen's death, which is all military operated, but with a MK Ultra skew, right? Military and MK Ultra, Frank Olsen. I brought in the release of Alice in Wonderland in 1951 to look at those numbers in comparison. And you'll find the full reading on this episode here, where I looked at MK Ultra and the influence in the mainstream media, but now with a look at social media, because two of these influencers had died under, in my opinion, well, one under suspicious circumstances and one has gone missing under suspicious circumstances. So what I've done now to bring in Fort Bragg, here is the founding date, and I'll explain how I got this date. But I have Fort Bragg's date here with the +369. Then I've done the New Year event. Instead of, we've seen already the energy flow in the previous episode. So what I've done now this time is break it down into what it is really for New Year's event, which was on the 1st of January. So I've done the 369. I brought in other date of births, Department of Defense, FBI, and of course, we got sampling of MK Ultra and military operations combined already that we can use as reference. Now, just a quick disclaimer on Fort Bragg's dates that are derived. So initially, Camp Bragg was established in 1918 as an artillery training ground. Okay, so that's the first disclosure. So then in sequence we have the Field Artillery Board was transferred to Camp Bragg on 1 February 1922. So I was looking to see, when we derive birth dates for towns, city, states, countries, usually the best date to use is when the Constitution is changed. So now the next significant date is Camp Bragg was renamed Fort Bragg to signify becoming a permanent army post, on 30 September 1922. So, of course, the 1st of February comes first, and this is where I believe is the main date here, is because this is when it becomes Camp Bragg. Okay. 1 February 1922. So Fort Bragg, February, we get the 2, the 1, gives us the 3 in the day number, that's the day. 1922 is a 14.5, so Fort Bragg is a 17.8 life path. I determined to use this date first before looking at any matching numbers, by the way. So the plus 369, I'm just going to draw key numbers now, right? 17.8, 20, outcome 2, 11.2, 23.5, 14.5, 26.8, 17.8. If we look at the New Year event, I'm asking, is something happening? Obviously, there's something happening, right? Is Fort Bragg the source of the operation? Given now that we know both these characters had time at Fort Bragg. And the objective here is also to see if it is so Fort Bragg, right? And if it is the case, then we should see numbers from Fort Bragg in the New Year numbers. So the theory is, obviously we've got to prove it in the actual. So these were the actual numbers, right? As discussed, I did an energy read, but we'll have a look now and compare. So January 1, we note there's the 11.2. And I'm just going to draw similarities as we go, right? So there's 1. In the same plus 3 position, there's the 14.5. And we have the 14.5 in the plus 6. Of the Fort Bragg date of birth. See there? And of course we have the 17.8 link as well. In my opinion, these are direct matches. It might seem off in that it's not in the exact same position because the outcome number and the year numbers are very different. But very similar, very similar February 1, January 1. There's a very keen likeness here. Let's put it this way, it's too much of a coincidence, or we can say it raises suspicion. So let's have a look in the energy read here. We see now 32, let me just confirm for you. If you're watching this episode without watching the previous episode, I'll leave the link here. But it is advisable, just added information, right? December 31, here's New Year's Eve here, December 31. So I created December 32 to get an energy read. The energy is still flowing. So we go into here. In the energy read, so the incident happens in this lane here, this row here. And we see a 17.8 in the middle. Now, I'm not talking about the conflict. I'm going to remove that for a minute. Just on its own, there's a 17.8 here, which has a direct link to the 17.8 in the real of Fort Bragg. when you're dealing with operations of 44.8, 44.8, this is by design, by operation, sophistication. So now we can say, okay, there's definitely a hint of Fort Bragg numbers on the scene. Now it's not, and I'll say it, it's not to say every military person there, but somewhere within Fort Bragg, now known as Fort Liberty, there is thumbprints and fingerprints all over the crime scene from New Year's Eve. All right, so now there's a link between Monarch. All right, so we've got military. Let's conclude military quickly by looking at Frank Olson. Frank Olson, military scientist. Please don't quote me on the exact designation. I haven't refreshed my information, but let's say scientist. Developing all sorts of things, unfortunately meets his end, unfortunately. November 28th. So all these numbers here, 39, 12, 3, 30 out, this is all CIA, yeah? That's all CIA. Yeah, we have the classic Monarch numbers, high level ranking Monarch numbers. CIA Monarch, okay? So killed by his own buddies, or so-called buddies. The next day, we start seeing reflections. Oh, here's all the military numbers. Here are all the military numbers. Let me bring something else in quickly. I thought I did bring it in. Oh, I did. Beg your pardon. I've just been reminded. Beg your pardon. DOD here. Beg your pardon. Department of Defense. All the 40s here. 31.4, 22.4, 13.4. Military. Military. You'll recall I said, why are these high 13.4, 13.4s, right? Now we're going to switch a little bit to Ultra. Look here in Alice in Wonderland, the original film debut, we tapped into that timeline. As mentioned, anything with Alice in the Wonderland, Monarch, well, particularly Alice in Wonderland, I discovered, even though it's produced by Americans and, the latest one, Johnny Depp, or the most recent one, even though it's American, Walt Disney, homage is always paid to the founders. And that's always in London, the metropole. So yeah, we've got these 58, 13.4, 31.4, Alice in the Wonderland, children, manipulation. We go in here. Yeah, they are here. Look here. Yeah, so here's your MK Ultra. Here's your MK Ultra numbers. And because it's a 4, now there's two sets. There's a 4, beg your pardon for the yellow. There's two sets of Monarch numbers. The 13.4s and the 12.3s. Let me get the 12.3s here for you. Yeah. These are all classic Monarch MK Ultra. So we can confirm already there's Fort Bragg, in my opinion, allegedly choose your own sprinklings for popcorn flavor. Fort Bragg has definitely got influence in what happened in New Year. We've got Monarch numbers as well. That is the current backstory for Bragg. I will like to go deeper. I will go deeper when I get a chance. Look at these 55 10 ones, 46 10 ones, 19 10 ones. In the +6 of Monarch operations, 55 10 1, 28 10 1, 19 10 1. What is going on here, ladies and gentlemen? I think we got problems. So there's still one issue for me. There's still one issue here. Is these sevens, because these sevens now are telling me there's something else here. This is someone else or something else here. I know I mentioned in the previous episode, of course, 16.7 does speak about sacrifice, but I believe this is one of the players in the game here. Belongs to the seven. These sevens belong to a player in the game here. So we need to identify who that player is. That would then constitute at least 3 players in the game. At least 3. Fort Bragg has got skin in the game. We've got Department of Defense in the game. We got CIA Monarch programming in the game. High-level operations in the game, all confirmed. And you know, when I did that first reading, I did ask, am I like going way off, or what the heck is going on here? So I'll have to go on deep on a few points. Fort Bragg, and we need to find out who the 7 is. We've got a mystery 7 in the game here. There's a mystery 7 in the game. And then apart from these two being connected, there's also apparently a military person as well, younger age, hacked Trump's phone, possible links to Fort Bragg as well. So something's going down. And of course, the word is out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep our eyes on the news. I'll be watching, and I'll keep updating as we go. But we need to keep our eye on the inauguration sequence and just start researching the sequence of events leading up to it, like these here. And hopefully we don't find them completed within the inauguration sequence. All right. Let me know your thoughts and comments. I do love engaging with them. Stay safe, stay alert, peace and light. Bye for now.